I felt in Forlorn Sales, like the visuals often were a reason for players to pick up the game, but they ended staying for the music.
For Changing Tides, it's sort of a companion title. It's not a direct sequel, but it has a lot in common with it, I would say. The main thing being the vehicle and you as the character going on the journey with that vehicle. Only this time it's this vast landscape that is flooded, and you're on your journey on the water, and I think the whole water element is something that's really new compared to Forlorn Sales.
On the sound design level, like working in a flooded world has brought quite some challenges, especially because almost every sound had to like dynamically react to whether the player was subsurface or oversurface.
The second game has a bigger environment. It feels bigger, and therefore my goal was also to make the instrumentation way bigger and to find the instruments who can make you feel like you're underwater. That was a whole new journey also for me, and it was kind of fun to explore and to find those sounds that would match to the underwater world.
In Forlorn Sales, we used to have a very clear system on when there was going to be music and when there was going to be more sound design present. And I think in For Changing Tides, we had to kind of figure out how these work together, because the hubs the player encounters during the game are more elaborate. So we needed to have also some musical support to really make those hubs work on an emotional level.
Yeah, I think on top of having kind of a dynamic soundtrack that reacts on what the player do, in best case, sound design and music will react dynamically to one on each other. So there's a moment where one can shine and the other one goes into the background, and then it kind of shifts. And that's always what we try to do, and kind of find the balance in between both.
We use music as a system to both reward the player, but also guide them to help them understand the puzzles they go through.
Both can help and motivate the player. So sound design can give you a direct answer to what you're doing, whether it's right or wrong, and it's the same with the soundtrack. If like music can build up when you're coming closer to the conclusion of that special little riddle that you have in the hub. I think both have the same kind of, or in our case, sometimes the same job to do.
One thing we wanted to add in Changing Tides is to also tell a bit of the story during or with the music, or about the themes in the game, and sort of what cultures are living in this world. And we wanted to make it possible that the player can sort of hear in what kind of environment they are. Those music themes are repeated then to give sort of the feeling of I've seen that, I've experienced that before, and the player can connect that with their previous experiences.
I'm kind of addicted to new sounds. I'm constantly searching for weird instruments that kind of surprise me with their sound quality, because I have a tendency to work a bit, or want to work a bit like a child. Just to explore stuff, and then I can take the most fun out of my work.
Before we talked about really the dynamic of sound, we thought a lot about what were the really key moments for the players, both story-wise, but also in terms of player progression, new special features the player unlocks, or feature features they lose along the game, and it was clear that those moments had to be like musically supported to really push the emotion we wanted the players to have during those moments. But other than that, it's we think about the key moments of, let's say, a puzzle where there's punishment maybe if the player does something wrong, or there's a reward for doing something right.
I think it's important to make this connection between the music and the gameplay, and in this case that you sort of the music reacts dynamically to the gameplay actions is a very satisfying reward if you make something right, or just if you keep doing something right, like sailing in the wind with the ship. So the first scene we are talking about is the moment where Toe or the player sees the ship hanging in this big factory building, and then how he manages to bring it down into the water and to make it ready to continue to sail outwards of this building. And we wanted to have this moment where you see only parts of the ship, because we wanted to make it feel very, very big, and so you're going into this dark room and you just sort of have to figure out what it actually is by moving around it.
One thing that we kind of learned from the first game was building up the anticipation for the player before he actually encounters the ship, and I think this is something that we've done again this time, where the music also kind of supports this feeling of mystery, of okay, there's something waiting for you just around the corner.
Also, interestingly, that the sound effect or the music is one of the points in the game where it's really hard to tell if it's actually a sound effect or music, and like that happens for me. That happens to me all the time when I play it, but also if I see other people play this section, that they sort of, is this the sound of the engine or is this music? And it's really interesting to hear that.
Music is known in film and games as well, to really like being able to support emotion or even enable players to really emotionally engage with the game. But I think what we learned in FAR as well is that giving the player power over the music intensifies this feeling of feeling emotionally engaged and related to the game or the vehicle in the game by such an immense amount.
And I think there's still like thousands of possibilities to encounter how to make dynamic soundtracks in gaming. Even though we dived quite deep into this topic, I think, or it feels to me, and it's not frustrating, it feels to me like we're scratching still on the surface of what is possible to do there, and I'm looking forward to have maybe the possibility to dive in again, or even deeper, I hope.